Okay, I am... Let me explain why I am so excited, but like, I'm so excited. Okay, so I found this little game on Steam. Technically last year now, I guess. Dang, time flies. And my brother got it for me for my Christmas present, and I was so excited because not only is this a visual novel, it's a gay visual novel, and I'm so excited. It's gonna be girls, it's gonna be cute, and it's gonna be gay. I'm so excited. But so yeah, there's your forewarning. If you hate gay themes, you better just run for the hills now. Just run, turn around, never come back. Also, if you hate gay themes, I don't know why you're following me, since I'm like half gay as a bisexual. But whatever, that's not important. Anyway, I'm just gonna start like, this is so pretty already. Oh gosh, I gotta compose myself for my reading skills. Oh. The night sky was dark. A few stars twinkled up above, just tiny pinpricks, like spilt granules of sugar. The stars looked so small and far away, it tugged at something within the young woman's heart. Oh, this is not like inner voice her, this is like narrator. Was this the same sky her family could see? Were these stars the same stars? I don't know why I'm being like overly dramatic. Was this moon the same moon? I would hope so. If it's a different moon, I have so many questions. Also, I'm sorry. Just, it's a little loud. No Jack. Oh, sorry. I closed the game. Return. I love. Okay. Yeah, no Jack Sketcher. They did not have the game on the Twitch list, and that makes me upset. This game needs love and attention. She didn't know. She hadn't seen her family in so long. But she couldn't think about that now. If she did, she was sure she would cry, and she didn't want to do that. 'Cause big girls don't cry. She refused. She'd always been stubborn. That was how she ended up in this mess. Oh! Does my character have a tragic backstory? The girl had been riding in the back of a horse-drawn cab for upwards of... I'm too excited. Of a horse-drawn cab for upwards of 14 hours, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. Dang! I could barely do that in a car. I can't imagine on a horse-drawn cab. Her legs, which had been cramped up in a space far too small for them for far too long, hurt. Even as she stood there, doing nothing more strenuous than simply existing, her body trembled. It felt like a mischievous imp was inserting needles into the backs of her legs. Ugh. She could hear in the distance the sound of horses' hooves striking against the ground. The carriage was lurching away beneath the cover of the night. There was nowhere else for her to go. Nowhere for her to run. All she could do was stare at the wrought iron gates before her and the large, imposing house beyond. Bly? It was worlds apart from the girl's home in Liverpool. Oh, Liverpool! Okay. Which she had shared for many years with her mother and 2 sisters. 3 sisters now, given the recent birth of the youngest, Alice. Alice in Wonderland! Little Alice. But she would never be able to see Alice grow up. She swallowed, Her throat convulsed. So, this was to be her new place of residence, but not her home. She could never call it her home. There was something horribly austere about the place, not helped by the sinister shadows that enveloped everything. The trees in the vast, expansive garden were tall and skinny. They stood sentinel, their boughs waving in the breeze, almost like ghosts. Skeletal soldiers. Bly, with its crumbling walls and darkened windows, seemed like the kind of place that would have a ghost story or two. It had existed long enough. Built in the early part of the 17th century, the girl had heard. How many ghosts lurked within those walls? Soon she would find out. I love the art so far. And it looks so good on my monitor. Oh my gosh, this is like wallpaper quality. Her carpet bag was, oh my gosh, carpet bags. I hate those. I'm sorry. I can't. I hate them. I just remember my Nana had one of those, and like every time I like scratch my nails over it, it would always get my nails caught, and I hated the texture. I hated the feeling. Just can't do it. Sorry. Mini rant there. Oh gosh, my laughter made my post-it notes fly. Okay. Her carpet bag was balanced in the crook of her arm. It was small and had a dent in the side, impossible to remove. She knew, because she had tried. Did I read that right? I'm not sure. All her worldly belongings were stowed inside that single bag. A few sets of clothes, a hairbrush, an old, battered volume of Robinson Crusoe! No! Oh, I hate that book. I hate it. It's the most awful read I had to do in English, in my English class at college. Just, never again. Oh, that was painful to read. Oh, that was awful. That was all. There were no toiletries, no jewelry, not even a second pair of shoes. She couldn't afford such luxuries. She was only a maid at Bly, working in the service of the Leonard family. She'd never met the Leonard family before, but the Pickerings' housekeeper, Miss Mary Ann, had told her they were not so very bad. There was the mistress, Lady Louisa Leonard, the husband, Lord Albert Leonard, who was often always on business trips, and then there was their sole daughter and heir to the family fortune, Lady Constance Leonard. All these names are so familiar. Like, these are such, like, common names. I can't. She could handle that much, couldn't she? She hoped so. But who is this she? She had to. She didn't have a choice. She drew in a deep breath. The cold air tugged at her hair and her skirts. Her fingers trembled. They were starting to turn blue. Ugh. The wind seemed to suck the air out of her lungs. It felt like a cold hand was pressing against her larynx? Sure. She choked on her own breath, her eyes stunned, but she wouldn't cry. She'd already told herself she wouldn't. Instead, trying to gather what little scraps of self-confidence she still possessed. Oh my gosh, she's cute. Oh my goodness, she's cute. But also, wow, them eyes. You can do this. There's no turning back now. Lorena Wah. Wah? Wow. Wah. Sure. Only 19 years of age, clutched her bag to her chest and strained her back. Because this is set in the 18th century. Is she considered old for still being single at that age? I can't remember. It might be. Unless, no. I don't know. I think a certain time periods, like being 19 and like single, you're like, oh man, girl, what you waiting for? You need to get that man, and you need to get that man now. But this game is gay, so that's not happening. I read this line. She wasn't one to back down from a challenge. Just how bad could Bly possibly be? Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh, there's an intro. Uh-oh. It's a bit laggy. I'm so sorry, guys. Uh-oh. I think it froze. It did freeze. Oh, darn it. I wanted to listen to the intro more, but the clip itself wasn't working. Oh, I'll have to look it up later and show it to you guys that way. But anyways, like the 16th of March or something. I don't know. I wasn't able to read it. Is that Amelia Bedelia's cake? Maybe. When Lorena Waugh opened her eyes, she was met with the same dismal sight that had greeted her every morning for the last 4 months. Daytime flies. A gray ceiling peppered here and there with ominous cracks, heralding the inevitable day when it would one day collapse under its own weight. For the time being, however, this was where Lorena was to sleep. Her very own bedroom in Bly. Not that it was her bedroom, of course. It was a small, tightly packed attic she shared with 5 of her fellow maids. Dang, 5? Isabel, Pauline, Ada, Effie, and the Swiss-born Lieselot. Lieselot? Sure. The other maids were arising, stretching and yawning, complaining. Isabel and Pauline were the worst for it. They always complained. Lorena supposed it was very English, in a way, but she rather wished they wouldn't. My head feels so thick. Must mean there's rain coming. Oh my gosh, I can't even, should I even try British accents? I don't know, I feel like I just butcher it awfully. It always bloody rains around here. Wouldn't be England without it. I like the rain. Effie! Ah! It's not Fire Emblem Effie, but ah! Good on you, Effie. Good morning, Lorena. Oh my goodness, that's such... This is sick to stream. I doubt myself now. Lorena stretched and sat up in bed. The thin sheets pulled about her body. The sheets were stained and rarely offered any warmth, not even in the spring. Still, Lorena supposed it was better than nothing. Look on the bright side. That was what her mother would say. There's always a silver lining. Said silver lining being Lorena's fellow maid, Ada. Ada was rather young, only a year or so older than Lorena, and the 2 maids had formed something of an alliance. They were both the oldest sisters in large families, and they both worked in order to support their siblings. The only difference was, Ada had 3 younger brothers, Lorena had 3 sisters. Good morning, Ada. Good? What's so good about it exactly? It's just a figure of speech. I don't care what it is. It's blinking ridiculous. Here. Does anybody want to wake up at 5 o'clock? Maybe masochists. I must be bloody masochistic working here. My fingers are shot to pieces. They're shaking. I'll never be able to light the fires like this. Oh, don't talk about fires. I'm frigid. Last night was cold. You think that was cold? That was nothing compared to the winters in Andermatt. Oh wait, that was the Swiss one. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to do Swiss anything. And in case you hadn't realized, Lieselot, you're not in Switzerland anymore. Ah, yes. Oh, how I miss it. The sun rising over the Alps is truly a sight to behold. I wish you could all see it. That does sound rather lovely. They say the air in the Alps is very good for the circulation. I am sure it would do you wonders. Do you really think so? Oh yes, I know so. Unfortunately, there are no Alps to behold here. Get your head out of the clouds, Lottie, or I'll shove it up a chimney. You English women are so very witty. Witty was the last word Lorena would have used in conjunction with Isabel, but she decided to keep that to herself. With a small yawn, the young maid stretched her arms above her head. She was unsure what time it was exactly, but it must have been around 5 o'clock in the morning. Mornings came for the servants of Bly several hours earlier than they did for Lady Leonard and her privileged offspring, Lady Constance. The servants had to wake up at unforgiving hours, before even the sun had started to rise. It was their lot in life to scuttle about soundlessly, creeping through the shadowy hallways, opening the shutters, polishing the fireplaces, dusting the mantelpieces, and so on and so forth. I know, Drac! Those PJs! Oh my gosh. It never ended. From 5 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, the maids of Bly were fully occupied with their work. There wasn't a single moment where they could sit down and rest. Maybe that was why Isabel and Pauline, who had been maids for longer than the others, were so snappish and irritable. It didn't help that the head butler, Grant Lester, was such a stickler for the rules. He was incredibly strict, perhaps more so than Lady Leonard herself. Hey, Lorena! Pauline, who was already dressed, gave Lorena a disparaging look. Are you planning on getting dressed at some point, or are you just going to sit there? Hi, helicopter. Can you leave my house? Maybe. Someone on a manhunt? Better not be. I don't got time for that. Lorena scrambled to her feet, throwing the covers to one side. She had been so immersed in her idle fancies she had quite forgotten. Pauline sniggered. Okay, so did Isabel. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready right away. Don't apologize to us. Apologize to Mr. Lester when you're late coming downstairs. Again. I'm getting dressed right now. I am. Do you want us to applaud? We shan't wait for you, you know. Let's go. We'll all be old women by the time she's finished. But that includes you too, Ada. Alright. Sorry, Lorena. Don't apologize to her, stupid. If she gets scolded, she'll deserve it. On her own head be it. I understand. Sorry. And you, Lottie, are you coming or are you still thinking about Switzerland? I am always thinking of Switzerland, but I do not want to be scolded by Mr. Lester. He is so very strict. Lieselot gave Lorena an apologetic smile. I will see you later, Lorena. If you ever have cause to feel down, just think of the Alps. I will? Not that Lorena knew what the Alps looked like. She didn't know very much, really. She'd never had cause to travel beyond the borders of her home country. Being a maid, she'd probably never get the chance. Her future was already set in stone. My gosh, those PJs are more revealing than they should be. Oh, what a cutie! She's gonna be a total brat, though. Later that morning. Is this the one you wanted? Lady Constance made a show of pondering, index finger tapping against her lower lip, before she shook her head. No, that is... Oh gosh, what do I want to do for her voice? Maybe I'll give her an actual British accent. If I can even do it. No, that is obviously not good enough. The leaves have been... Nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, gosh. How do I even British? I'm so American. It's not in me. Obviously. See, I have to do like a kind of like mature sounding voice, but this is Constance. She's a child. Can I even do a British child? No, this is obviously not good enough. The leaves... No, I can't do it. I'm just not even going to try. No, that is obviously not good enough. The leaves have been eaten by caterpillars. Look. I can't see anything wrong with it myself. Then you are blind. Or perhaps you're just being a little madam. Lorena muttered mutinously under her breath. She knew she wasn't supposed to speak ill of her social betters. Though, had Lady Constance been one of Lorena's younger sisters, Lorena would have lost her temper already. Well, if you don't like it, I can always look for another. See to it that you do. I could not stand having a display of withered roses in my bedroom. I bet you couldn't. What was that? Oh, nothing. Just talking to myself. Well, don't. Mother says it's a sign. That's a sign of madness. Perhaps she was bad, Lorena mused. She must have been, to take Lady Constance's abuse. If she'd had 1 ounce of sense, she would have slapped Lady Constance right across her smug little face, 12 years old or no. In fact, it was precisely because Lady Constance was 12 years old that she needed disciplining. If nobody gave her a stern talking to, Lorena feared Lady Constance would become quite an unpleasant person when she got older. Even more unpleasant than she was already. If Lady Constance had been a sweet, innocent child who enjoyed tucking herself into small corners and reading books, she would have been a pleasure to serve. Lorena could have gone out of her way to make life as comfortable as possible for this imaginary Constance. The real Constance, however, was not so lovely. Excuse me. Real little girls never were. Though they were My goodness. Get it together, Nom-Nom. Though they were depicted as sweet, delicate angels in plays and poems, the reality was rather different. Now, maid, try to find me some roses that look nice. It shouldn't be too hard. Joe has strict orders to only let the most beautiful roses bloom in this garden. Yes, miss. But that was easier said than done. If the roses within Lorena's immediate vicinity were not acceptable, for whatever make-believe reason Lady Constance had dreamt up, she would need to search harder. What about the roses that were further back in the thicket? Lorena began to search, brushing some of the roses to one side. The flowers were undeniably beautiful, their pink petals as soft as velvet, but the thorns were numerous. They were sharp and pointed, just waiting to spill blood. Lorena shied away like a reluctant pony, her fingertips trembling. The thorns promised pain, and she had no desire to cause herself unnecessary grief. Lady Constance, meanwhile, was unsympathetic. The little girl tutted and sighed and tapped her right foot against the ground, her brown eyes rolling about inside her head the whole while. This should be easy, maid. I don't understand why you're taking so long. It would be easy, Lorena wished she could retort, if someone was not hell-bent on making this so complicated. But, of course, she didn't say that, not even under her breath. It wouldn't have been worth it. Is this rose to your liking, miss? No, 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 that isn't good enough at all. Then, this one? No! I only want the best roses in my room. Anything less would be an insult. Unless... Are you trying to insult me? Of course not, miss. Then take this more seriously. You are a maid, aren't you? Yes, miss. Then you should do everything within your powers to keep me happy. Yes, miss. Start doing your job properly. Blah, blah, blah. I ordered you to pick me the best roses, and that's what I expect. The best roses are the ones right at the back, so you need to look a little deeper. But, miss... What? Didn't you hear what I just said? I gave you an order. I realize that, but... Are those ears of yours just for show? You were listening to me, weren't you? Yes, I understand. You understand what? I understand, miss. If you understand, start looking. I won't leave until you've picked at least one acceptable rose. Yes, miss. Left with no other alternative, the unmaid continued her search amongst the flower beds. Her arms trembled, so, too, did her eyelashes. Her whole body was tense and taut. One wrong move and she would lacerate her skin. In not just one, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 places. Then she would start swearing under her breath and blinking tears out of her eyes. Lorena didn't want to show such a weak side of her character to Lady Constance. She could hardly bear the thought. But that was probably why Lady Constance liked picking on her. Lorena had too much pride, but she got flustered easily and couldn't always stand up for herself. She wasn't like the parlor maid. She would never be like the parlor maid. Not that she wanted to be. The parlor maid was a cold woman, aloof and distant, who only ever spoke to Lorena to pass malicious comments. Her barbed statements slid beneath the skin more effectively than 1,000 thorns from 1,000 roses. The parlor maid's words hurt, and Lorena didn't even know why. It wasn't as though Lorena wanted her approval. She didn't like her. She didn't like her at all. Why was it, then, that Lorena's throat felt dry whenever she saw her, and her stomach fluttered, and she couldn't look her in the eye, and she... Oh, Jack Sketcher. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could not... No. Romancing children in any game, regardless if it's gay, straight, or whatever, just... No. It's hella weird. Hella weird. No. But I think this visual novel, it's not like your typical visual novel where you can pick who you romance and has different endings. This one is like a very linear, like, it's pretty much like a visual novel to its very core sense of like being a novel that you just click through and read. But yeah. But I don't know what all this is. Lorena gasped in shock and stumbled away from the rose bush, clasping her hand to her chest. 3 wounds crisscrossed against the back of her right hand. 2 of them were shallow, superficial, oozing droplets of crimson blood no bigger than pinheads, but the other was far bigger. This cut had cleaved a chunk of flesh out of her hand. Ugh! Stripping back the skin like a... Oh, ew, that description! Oh! Stripping back the skin like a roll of wallpaper. Lorena stared at her hand, and then at the ground. There were splotches of blood. Her blood, just inches away from her right foot. She shook her head. She felt sick. Blood didn't often make Lorena feel faint, but there was quite a lot of it, and she didn't want to smear her apron. And to make matters worse, there was a thorn embedded into the back of her hand. It emerged from the open wound like a piece of thread through the eye of a needle. Oh, gosh, that's gross. Oh. Don't bleed all over the flower beds, idiot. What do you think you're doing? I just, No, don't tell me. I know the answer. You weren't thinking at all. You mates really are useless. My gosh, I really want to punch her.